to this week's episode of the Ultimate Deck Podcast. There was an awkward silence for about 20 seconds there as I tried to think of what I was going to say to open this one up. But it was busy in the store today and I got nothing. My brain was fried and I just sat here until I got nothing and I went with the old safe way of doing things.
I can open this the same way I always open this.
Always. So Shane Chapman here, your host of this Ultimate Deck Podcast, back with Wade Laurent again. Today we're, you know what? It's spring. It's nice out. Let's crack a cold one. And let's do this podcast today. We'll treat this podcast as if we were sitting on a deck.
It's a little casual. So everybody knows that actually is beer. I didn't open a Coke.
Yeah.
A cola.
And I guess I didn't have to say that we weren't sitting on a deck. They knew none the wiser.
Right.
We could have been sitting on a deck.
Yeah.
Anyway, we bring a lot of value to this podcast week over week. We do a little research. We try to teach people a little bit about things that they can use in their daily lives. And we decided today's not going to be that at all. We're going to talk about ourselves.
Mailed it in.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah. A little bit busy today. Didn't prepare.
It was actually a pretty busy week. Like the whole week was spring has sprung.
Yeah.
Here we are.
That's our words, right? So we figured today we would just go through a little bit of our own background. People are maybe or maybe aren't wondering about who these guys are that started this deck podcast and they're listening to all the time. Maybe they want to know a little bit of background. I'm guessing a lot of our audience probably knows us from different shows or whatever. They know a little bit about us, but some might not.
Yeah.
So why don't we go through how we got started in this world, how we ended up with this deck retail store and this podcast and everything else.
Yeah, like I think the story of the store is fairly well known. Like I think everybody who listens to the podcast or watches the shows, I feel like they understand how the store happened, right? They probably don't know the Shane Chapman.
Yeah.
Right?
Or when I legally changed my name to the Shane Chapman.
Bold move, right?
Yeah. It's one thing to do it on Instagram. You got to follow it up with the
third person yourself right on the on the web.
Yeah.
So
anyway, Wade.
Okay. Oh,
you're 38 years old.
Going on 50.
Going on 50.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about your background? How did you end up with the deck store?
Yeah. So it was a cold winter day, February 19th. The Oilers were in their heyday, winning cups like everybody wins cups.
Going with this,
right?
Yep.
And I was born.
Yep.
I'm a February baby. I was born in Calgary, Alberta. We were there for a couple years. My parents, my mom is an RN, my dad is a contractor, carpenter.
Registered nurse, for those that might not use that term.
Right.
Elsewhere, maybe,
yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know if that, is it, I don't know, it's an international thing.
Sure.
RN. Yep. So dad was a contractor. He started into construction at the age of 16. He left Saskatchewan, moved to Alberta. He did that when he was 18. Left Saskatchewan, moved to Alberta, and started in construction. And so they were out there, had me. The oil industry died off in the 80s, big crash, and they moved back to Saskatchewan. Mom got a job.
Thankfully, that'll never happen again.
Yeah, that's unlikely that you'll ever see oil crash, right? So
somewhere in Alberta right now, there's another Wade being born.
Yeah, exactly.
Just cycling through.
2 years old on his way back to Saskatchewan. So they moved back to Saskatchewan. I grew up in a small town of 200 people. I was there until I was 13 years old. My dad was, again, continued on with carpentry, building cabinets and stuff. So I always joke that at the ripe old age of 5 years old, I was sanding cabinets. I remember doing that in Dad's shop. He used to do so that was in the 80s when everything was oak, right? It was oak everything. And I was always responsible for sanding the sanding sealer off of oak. So you'd spray it with a sanding sealer. It'd have to be sanded, not perfectly, but a little bit. And then they would apply the lacquer. I was never able to be around when we did the lacquer. Probably because there wasn't a mask small enough for me. Not that everybody practiced safety in the 80s.
Yeah, did they care about that back then?
Yeah, but I know that Dad had one. So
this lacquer will seal your lungs so that cigarette smoke doesn't harm them.
Yeah, exactly. And that's right. Isn't that the truth? Just darts out the back. So so did that. I was in Frobisher. A lot of fun there. I was a kid. Had a dirt bike. I remember I used to crash dirt bikes all the time. Played hockey. That's where I learned to play hockey. And small town of 200 people was amazing because we had keys to the rink. So I was on the ice lots as a kid. I used to just go skating all the time. 13, moved to a town of Arcola, 500 people there, so that was huge. Big move, doubled the size of the town.
Yeah.
Moving at the age of 13 is awkward, right? That was like, it took me a few years to like get friends because nobody knew you, right? And you move in that like teenage years and everybody already has their friends. And so it's a little bit harder.
Yeah, you move in, your voice like, hey, everybody. My name's Wade.
Yeah, and you're like acne on everything, right? Popping rods and sweatpants. And it's just like, it's the worst time to move for sure. So, it ended up being Arcola is still home. My parents are still there. They own a lumber yard. When I graduated high school, I could not wait to leave Arcola, and I for sure was not going to be in construction. There was absolutely no way that I was going to be a carpenter. I hated the hours that Dad had to put in. I thought that, people not paying bills was not ideal. It seemed like it was always a grind, right? Went to university, didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew it wasn't carpentry. Like I knew it wasn't construction. Got a degree in psychology, and then I followed the bride, the wife, the partner, JJ, to Brandon, Manitoba. She went there to work for CBC. I went there because she was there. I got a job with the health authority in Manitoba, working with people who had schizophrenia or Asperger's or, different mental disorders. It was an assisted living program that was going on. So they had jobs, but I would meet them in the morning, make sure they took their medications, etc. The morning shift was from 7 a.m. till 10 a.m. to make sure that they got out and took off, did their thing. And then the evening shift was 3 in the afternoon till 10 p.m. And so you'd come back in the evenings, take them grocery shopping, etc. I did that for 1 year. I had a guy come out of a rocking chair and try to stab me with a knife because he thought that his dad was Jesus. That was the reason behind him trying to stab me. I took the knife away from him and then received some disciplinary action from my boss because what I was supposed to do was leave the building. And I was just like, my argument was there was 2 other guys in the building. I didn't think that I should leave him there armed. And she said that was the role. Protocol is save yourself and get out. And so that didn't work out. I then went into construction because I thought, I was like, well, at least construction is something I know. I understand it. Maybe I don't love it, but...
And if some guy comes after me with an Olfa, I will lay him out and it'll be okay.
And it'll be good, right? Your foreman will be like, good job, right? Work construction there. So I started out framing with those guys and I framed houses for a little bit. I wasn't the lead guy, right? I was just a helper, but I learned some tricks and stuff to, help carry me on through life. Framing was good. Then it turned into winter and it was cold. I was starting to freeze my hands. Every time the boss showed up, I was standing beside the air compressor with my hands in front of the air compressor trying to warm them up. And so he said he was going to lay me off. I suggested he didn't lay me off, move me inside to doing trim work. I could probably do it. I was like, I can probably hang doors and do casing, put me in there. And so they moved me into trim work. I did one house. He came in, did the inspection. He said that my pocket door wasn't very good. And I said, well, that's the very first one I've ever hung. And he was like, you've never even attempted? Never even attempted. That's the first one I've ever seen or anything. He was like, well, we can work with this. And so he taught me how to hang a pocket door. Did that for 4 years. Moved back to Regina. Installed kitchens. Installed interior handrails. And then went for dinner with Shane Chapman.
What a segue.
That was it, right?
Good.
So, yeah.
Funny, we have very different paths on the way here, but we ended up in the same spot.
Yeah.
So I'll give a little background on my story, I guess, now, and then I'll include some of where we met along the way. You went back deep, you went a long ways. I didn't know you were going to go back that far. I also was born in the
chirped me about my age, so I wanted to make sure that everybody knew that I was I'm not senile. I still remember everything. Yeah. So
I joke about his age, but yet we're the same age. We're a month apart.
Yeah. I'm older. That's probably why everybody calls me Dad.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a couple good dad stories. Anyway, I was born in Regina, Saskatchewan for about 4 or 5 years. It didn't take that long for me to be born. I was just
yeah.
I was
labor was a doozy.
Yeah.
Right?
My mom barely made it alive with that one. Born in Regina, stayed here for about 4 or 5 years, moved to us. Regina, for reference of people who haven't been there before, it's a town. Back then, it would have been probably about 180, 190,000 people. So a small city. Moved to a town called Weyburn for a couple of years, a year or two. did my kindergarten there. Town of at that
What
time.
was your kindergarten teacher's name?
Oh man, I don't remember.
Really?
Nope.
Oh man.
But I remember some of my teachers, but that one I don't for some reason. No, I remember the school name, not the teacher. I was going to say Mrs. Haig, but it was Haig School. Yeah. No, I don't have that.
Okay.
It's gone. So I spent kindergarten there, then we moved to Estevan, similar sized city, both about 10,000 people at the time. I went to school in Estevan from grade 1 through grade 10. My dad transferred. He worked for SaskTel, which is the provincial kind of cell phone. Well, back then, just phone company, not a cell phone company.
Yeah, no cell phones.
Communications company. He took a transfer to Carlisle, Saskatchewan, which is 5 minutes down the road from Arcola, but his family grew up in Arcola. They still live there, my grandparents, my aunts and uncles. My mom was from Carlisle area, so it was natural to move back there. And people are probably starting to put things together. Oh, Wade and Shane met in Arcola. So we moved to Arcola, that town of 500 people, in grade 10. No, sorry, he started grade 11 and 2 years. And then I say we as in Wade and I moved to Regina for university and kind of we didn't really hang out in high school much. It was kind of like I moved to, again, it's a little bit awkward, maybe not as awkward as 13 years old, but at 17, I had like a pretty established set of friends in Estevan. So I was like, for a while, going back to Estevan on the weekends because my mom was still working there.
You were, yeah.
It was like she'd get up at 5 a.m, I'd get up with her and I'd go to Estevan for the weekends. And I think I had a girlfriend there or something for a little bit, so that was part of the reason why I was going there. But then my best friends were there from like grade 1 till grade 10. I had best friends in Estevan, so I kept going back hanging out with them.
Yeah.
So got through high school. We both moved back to Regina to go to university here, and kind of got partnered together with.
There was a mutual friend that put us together, right?
Yeah, mutual friend who got a place and was like, hey, I need some roommates for university. The three of us ended up in there, added a fourth guy later. And then university was just a bunch of moving around. We lived together a couple times, bounced around a little bit.
Sometimes we chose to move, sometimes we got moved.
Sometimes,
right? We got
sometimes
evicted
involuntarily
once.
movement.
That's the worst. I hate getting evicted.
Speaking of the 80s, that wasn't in the 80s. These speakers were from the 80s though. Those wall shaker speakers we had that got us in trouble a couple times. Those were big speakers.
So the eviction notice comes, the buddy of ours, a mutual friend of ours who put us together in that house, used to take the fuses out of his speakers, and he'd go home on the weekends because he would I'm going home and I'm taking the fuses with me because I don't want you guys to get us kicked out. And I was like, yeah, fine. And so he would leave. And that weekend we decided we were having a party, so we rolled up some tinfoil.
Just that weekend though.
Yeah, we never partied. We had exams the other times, right?
Right.
Rolled up some tinfoil and put it in there for a fuse. And
works better
we got
than it should.
Yeah, we got evicted. Yeah. That was the cops showed up. Boy, it was bad news.
Yeah. So actually, I wasn't going to go here, but this kind of is a good segue. And I don't think you remember this part of this story very well, but we got evicted out of that place, and I believe that was we had to be out of that place by the end of March 31st, I think, is we had to move out. So it was it wasn't super warm out, but thankfully my mom was moving to Regina on April, I think she took possession on April 1st or April 2nd.
Yeah, we spent the night in a vehicle.
We loaded our entire house worth of belongings into your truck, I think it was, right?
Because I had a truck at that time.
And went and stayed one night at a buddy's place with all of our belongings in this truck. And we're like, well, we have to stay here because until tomorrow when my mom moves to town, we got nowhere to go.
We have nowhere to live. Yeah.
Mom moves to town. We move into her basement suite.
Yep.
And we live there for a bit. But somewhere along the line, I tell this story all the time. I probably told it in the podcast with the chat with the high schooler a couple of weeks ago. My mom needed to replace her deck. This was the early beginnings of how I got into decking anyway. And she bought this house, needed a new deck. It was rotting. She got some quotes, and it was my mom was single and divorced only a couple of years and didn't have a lot of money. And it was holy smokes, how am I going to afford this new deck? And I don't remember if you were actually still around to help build it, but you for sure were the guy that was we could do this.
I inspired the confidence.
Yeah,
I'm really good for that, right?
Yeah,
I'm the confidence
offering
builder.
And then disappearing.
Poof, gone. Yeah, you got this, buddy. You got this.
We could do this deck. So then I'm yeah, Mom, we could do this deck. I did not grow up in carpentry. I did not grow up in carpentry at all. My dad was super handy, mechanically inclined, carpentry, everything. Never passed any of that on to me. Nothing. So I was sure.
Maybe it's
Wade says we can do this.
Maybe it skips a generation.
Yeah, maybe.
Right? It's you missed it, but then Avery will have it or something. Right?
He's already got it. Yeah. So anyways, that deck happened. I don't I don't remember where you ended up being. I remember we did build that deck, and I enjoyed that. It was it was fun. took a pile of lumber, turned it into something. That was great. And that was the start, I guess, of me getting into carpentry. And so from that point, that would have been 2001. No, I don't know. Oh boy, somewhere around 2000, 2001. And so that happened. And then from, I probably bought a few tools around that time. I think I bought my first drill. It was a Bosch, little Bosch 5.5-inch corded drill. That was my first drill. And started collecting the tools. Somewhere along the line, I built a few more things like some fences or some small decks for friends and family because now I was a pro. I was a pro now because I built one deck before.
Builder, yeah.
I'd like to go back and look at that deck that I built 20 years ago, 18 years ago. I wonder what that looks like now.
We should.
So anyways,
maybe leave a business card there.
Yeah,
I could do it again.
It's probably due, right? It's 17 or 18 years old now. So started collecting these tools from doing these little odd jobs, and then at some point, fast forward, quite a bit later, I decided hey, I've got all these tools, and I've done enough of these now that I've got this figured out. I could start charging for this. I don't have to just be doing this for free for friends and family all the time. And but along the way, I went to school for business administration. I got my business admin marketing degree from the University of Regina. Had a kid along the way, in and out of school for 8 years. I don't think I actually called your doctorate 2008.
Right?
Yeah, the doctorate in marketing.
In university. General studies.
Got out of university and got a job at SaskTel, which, following my dad's footsteps, kind of, sort of, not really, just more coincidentally. Did that gig for a while. I was marketing
call center
stuff,
right?
I started in the call center at support. That's how
what
I got
an
foot in the door.
Awful place to start.
Yeah, boy, if you ever hit your thumb with a hammer and you're like, yeah, this is terrible, it's not that bad.
Yeah, it's not a call center bad.
Yeah. Funny story, I don't know if this is my breaking point or not. I knew that call center was always just getting my foot in the door until I got a chance to get into marketing, but I had to finish my degree first, so I was working on it. But I got this call one time, it was a call center to support people with having internet problems or TV problems, because SaskTel had a TV service at that time and all that stuff. And I remember getting this one call. There's probably a ton of stories, but this one, we had a pay-per-view event. It was wrestling. It was WWF. Might have even been before it was WWE. I get this call, pay-per-view, cuts out. And so when it cuts out, all of a sudden the call volume spike and you get a lot of angry people phoning you. And this guy calls in, he's like, hey, trying to watch the Super Slam, Summer Slam, Royal Rumble, where the hell it was. And the fucking thing just turned off. What is going on? Starts going losing, right? And I'm like, sorry, this looks like it's a known issue. We're working on it, blah, blah, blah. And he thought that there was no, I have no answer for him. I can't fix this for him at the time. It's just shitty. But he thought, you know what? I'm going to put you on speakerphone with his other 8 buddies who were sitting around trying to watch SummerSlam.
How many teeth do you think were in that room?
Oh, if you had to 17 tops amongst the 8 of them. So I got to hear it from the whole room on speakerphone, right? And I just sat back. I probably put it on mute and just listened. At that point, it probably wasn't even it was probably comical at that point.
Yep.
All I wanted to say was what are you doing? You're 30.
Stop watching. Are you in your mom's basement still? Is that?
Yeah. Don't worry, this won't affect your mom's bill.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was the kind of stuff he dealt with all the time. That was not my gig. But I got into marketing. That was my gig. Enjoyed that for 5 years. I was in SaskTel marketing. Along the way, doing decks on the side, building decks, building everything at the start. Started fresh construction, doing mostly decks and fences, but the odd little interior reno too. But really started to realize that I didn't enjoy the interior stuff. I didn't really enjoy going and casing out a house or painting or any of that stuff wasn't enjoyable to me. And I was like, what am I doing spending my evenings and weekends doing something I'm not enjoying? What I really enjoy is the decks and fences. So then I decided no more of this. I'm only going to do decks and fences now. And then that lasted for a few more months and I was like, I don't like the fences either.
Fences are a lot of work.
What am I doing?
Right?
Yeah. So at least you're outside, but it's there's nothing fun or fancy about a fence. So I renamed the company Fresh Decks and decided to focus solely on decks. And still just a side job, and started to really take an interest and a passion in it. Started doing the research about techniques and products that are out in the industry. Found out about this Deck Expo show. Really started trying to absorb everything I could about building cooler decks. And decided that I should go to one of these Deck Expo things and see some stuff. And anyways, did all that. Along the way, I think I did a job or two for you. Even you had some stuff you subbed out to me, and I did a couple framing, framed a couple deck jobs for you.
Yeah, there was one out at Buffalo Pound, right?
Yeah, Buffalo Pound, another one in town. 2 or 3 of them that we did anyway. And so along the way, you were always kind of leave SaskTel. Like, just why don't you just leave there and come work? And it's like, oh boy, I don't know. Anyway,
I got a kid. I need a paycheck.
Like, what are we gonna do here? Like, you've only given me 2 jobs in 3 years. Wait, I'm like,
don't know that you're the guy.
Yeah. So anyway, started finding out these new products. We always say that we started the store because of Cortex plugs, and like, there's more truth to that than people are willing to probably believe.
Probably believe it now. It's like 4 years. We tell that story a ton. Right?
So, but products like that, products that were new, that were really good, that you just couldn't find here. Like, nobody was bringing them in. You'd go to your lumberyards and ask for them, and nobody wanted to bring them in. And it was really frustrating when you're trying to do things, take things up a level, and nobody's willing to help you out.
Yep.
And so, reference that dinner you mentioned. We go for supper.
Yeah.
To a great restaurant, by the way.
We should go back there.
Absolutely. The Grotto in Vibank. For our local listeners.
You know what we should do? We should get some people, we should get some buddies to come up, watch a football game, and then take them there. We should 100%. Go to the barbecue night there, right?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Maybe the other order, so we're not too, like, it's a pretty quiet place.
Yeah. Not like when you go with Sean down to Charlotte. Go to the football game, then go to the fancy restaurant. Do it the other way around, right?
100%.
Go to the restaurant first.
So that supper happens. It's with me and my wife, and you and your wife go for supper. And inevitably, they love this. We start talking shop, like, how's your kitchen's going? Good. How's your deck's going? That kind of stuff, right? And it's like, well, not so good. Like, I'm so frustrated. I can't find any of this crap. I actually hadn't been to Deck Expo yet. I was just about to go to my first one. Because it was in October, and we went for supper like the start of October. It was like 2 weeks after that I was going. And I was like venting to you and being like, boy, I want these products. Nobody wants to get them. Like, I feel like I should just like start an online store. I could import these things in. I could sell them across Canada. Like, I'm not the only guy. Yeah. And if it's really that hard to get this stuff in here, like, if I figure it out, people will buy it.
You were that close to being Amazon, hey? You should have just done about Amazon. You should have done books.
Look what you held me back from.
Yeah. Damn.
So anyways, that conversation kind of ended, and then I believe how it went is that, like, I don't know if it was exactly
then the food
2
showed
weeks.
up. You remember how we ate and then we had to actually go for a walk around town after we finished eating because we couldn't get back in the car
just to move through the system a little bit.
It was like, oh, I've never been so full. You know, like that feeling when you eat at a Christmas dinner and you're so full that all you can do is lay on a couch, right? That's what the Grotto was.
And then the pumpkin pie comes out.
Yeah,
and you have that, and then
but no whipped cream. Well, okay, I'll have the ice cream pie.
And then 2 beers after that. That's how we felt. Yeah. So anyway, I think it was a couple weeks later. Might have been a week. Might have been 2 weeks. Timing is cloudy at best. But you called me and you're like, hey, and I don't even know why you called me, but you're like, hey, I've been thinking a lot about this whole store idea. You said maybe we should do that. And it was like, we had been looking for an idea for a while. Like, what are we going to do together? You had mentioned like a restoration company had been a recent conversation.
Yeah.
Like, we should start like a restoration company.
Yeah. Disaster restoration, right? It's like if a house floods, we should do that. And then.
So that was on the table. But then you made that phone call and I was like,
popped up.
Okay, like, this is right up my alley.
Yeah, I was looking to get out of construction. Yep. Not like out of construction, but I wanted to be off the tools. I had been lifting table saws in and out of the truck, and like I wasn't ready to buy a trailer because I knew that I was playing out. Like I knew I was done with actually building stuff, right? And the other reason I got out was because I hated not getting paid. It absolutely drove me up the wall that you would do work for somebody and they would have the money and they would have your time. They would have the material and your time. And then you would ask for that money back, right? And you'd be like, well, now the value of what I've given you is said dollar. And they're like, yeah, it turns out I don't like that miter, or the door doesn't look perfect. I wanted it to be perfect. And it's like, well, like your house was built in 1904 out of stone. Like it's not gonna be perfect. The thing's on a 4-degree angle.
Yeah.
I hung your door so it opens and closes. And they're like, yeah, but I wanted it level. We can't. I'm only paying you 75%. And what do? You do nothing. They have the money, like they have the material and the time. And so you're out. You just take what you can take, right?
Yeah.
So I was done with that. I got stung a couple times and then I was jaded. I was like, peace. That's it. I want a retail location. I want the terminal at the counter. And it's like, if you don't want to pay for the material, fine. I have the material, and if you want it, you'll pay for it.
Yep.
So that was my motivation to get out of construction. But I still love construction. I still want to be involved in it.
Want to work on it, not in it.
I want to be the guy that gives everybody the confidence. You can do this. You can do this, right? I'm
like the Tony Robbins.
Yeah, I'm the pump up guy, right? You can do this. Like anybody can do it. Hey, get it started. Yeah, let's go. And then they start their project, and I don't actually do the work. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, it's good. So that's kind of how that started. You made that phone call, and I was like, all right, if we're going to do this, let's do it. Like, and I think my feedback was like, you said, I think even at the supper, you were like, why bother with an online store?
I didn't want
to put an actual store. Yeah. You should put it over by Leo's. Even back then, you loved Leo's. You wanted to be right. Can you imagine how bad that'd be for you right now if our store is beside Leo's? Leo's is a pub in town. Anyway,
some of the best poutine.
Yeah, it's a good spot.
Yeah.
So anyways, I was like, oh boy, if we're going to do an actual store, if this isn't going to be just online, we have to carry everything. Like not just the screws and the Cortex and like the fasteners and stuff like that. Like we have to be a lumberyard. And I was like, there's stores like this that do exist. I'm familiar with them. There's some in Ontario, there's some in Alberta, there's some down in the States. Like this format exists.
Yep.
Like we'll have to go all out. We're gonna have to be like a one-stop shop for everything for your deck. And so that was the start of it. We're like, okay, well, let's book the home show and make this happen. So
I remember that.
I don't know if we want to go through that may be an entire podcast for itself, but like that's the start of how the store happened. We decided at that moment we were going to book the home show, and then we
booked it under your name. I think there was a lot of confusion behind that because everybody thought that Fresh Decks owned.
Yeah, we booked under Fresh Decks because the Ultimate Deck Shop didn't exist yet. It maybe didn't even at the point have a name yet. It wasn't
registered. No, because it didn't get registered until November. Right?
So that's how that happened. And then when we opened the store, I continued to build under Fresh Decks for a little bit because we had no idea if anybody was going to buy anything from us. And I was like, well, I will. I'll for sure buy my materials from my store.
Yeah.
So we let that happen.
Most of it you did, right? You still hit up the box store for the odd thing. What are you doing?
Why didn't have a ton of inventory.
Why are you at Home Depot again? I was driving to work and I saw your truck at Home Depot. Yeah, well, we didn't have what I needed.
Thankfully, those days are over.
Yeah.
We got more than what we need now.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, that's kind of the history of Shane and Wade and how we ended up there.
So now, what do you play for sports?
What do I play for sports?
Yeah, what's your favorite sport to play right now?
Oh boy, I kind of feel like I was a one sport guy my whole life. It's like I never played more than one at a time. Like in high school, I was big into basketball. I loved basketball, was all into basketball. Like I played hockey when I was younger, then quit hockey, started playing basketball, moved to Regina, quit playing basketball, picked up like touch football, did that for a while. Then like somewhere along the line went to then I got into playing a lot of like slow pitch and softball and stuff. And then now I'm playing hockey again after a 20-some year retirement. I came out of retirement, bought all new equipment and started playing hockey again. And now I don't play football. I don't play basketball. I don't play baseball.
You still play dodgeball?
Dodgeball is still super fun when that happens. But
I've never played a game of dodgeball. Not since elementary.
You should. It's a good one.
My shoulder's just not good enough.
Yeah, mine neither. But it's worth the price of admission, that's for sure. So now here we are. Now we've got this store. It's doing well. We've moved locations once to a bigger store. This one feels a little bit more like home. Things are good. We're having a good season so far. Things are great. We started this podcast. We did the YouTube show now. And,
we did
sort of. We're waiting for some things to materialize here with our little studio up there to get that done before we start shooting YouTube again. But that's coming pretty soon.
We should do that next time.
And now, we're I don't know. We're little miniature deck personalities. You know what I want to do though? I've talked to you about this. For the Trexes and the Fiberons and the Timber Techs of the world that are listening, you and I need to start bringing this thing live. We need to start taking this show on the road. We need to go to these contractor events where they've got 100 contractors in a room and we need to MC these events.
Sure.
I would love to do that. Go up there, be the MCs. You get a couple of guys who are completely cool at just shooting the you know what. Trying to be entertaining.
You're not allowed to say on this thing?
Yeah, I don't know. I thought I did once already. I feel like I'm at my quota.
Oh, right. I got you.
So get up there and entertain and be knowledgeable about things at the same time. And just I think we could do that.
Yeah. Do you think you'd out knowledge the most of the people in the room?
I don't know if we
that's tricky, right?
I don't know if we want to step on those toes quite yet.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. It's you say that we'd be knowledgeable. But for sure, we're not afraid to talk in front of people.
Knowledgeable enough, yeah.
Yeah, knowledgeable enough, I guess, right?
Yeah. So there's my pitch. If anybody out there is interested in having Shane and Wade come up and be your MCs for the night at any of these little events.
Who called us that? Who started that?
Shade.
Yeah.
So that was we had a little show on Global TV in Regina. What was it called? What the deck are we building? I mean, this little show, and the host of the show got our names mixed up sometimes and called us Shade one time. Yeah. Like combine our names, and we just never let that go stuck at all. So, yeah, so that's our history. That's our story. That's a little bit about Wade and Shane personally. If you guys have any other questions about us or anything that's going on, we actually got the one invite from Decorators wants us to do a podcast live from their booth at Deck Expo 2019. So let it start there. Sure. And we're open. We're open for gigging. We're going to start gigging.
Yeah.
Congratulations too, by the way.
I was going to say, are we going to talk about this?
Mention this because I don't know that anybody's super personal to them. I don't think it's a secret. Hopefully. But our employee,
about to be out,
our main man at the store here, our store manager, proud new daddy, had a baby last night. Not him, his wife did. But I think he's aware that it happened.
I believe he was in the room. The picture I got showed that he was in the room.
Found it super awkward that the first thing this morning he's posting asking about what phone he should buy.
I'm going to get a new phone for all the pictures I'm going to take. What's got the best camera? Yeah. Most storage, right?
Yeah. Anyway, so congratulations to Justin and his family on the new addition to their family.
Yeah.
He needs to get back in the podcast too, by the way. Justin he's been around a couple episodes. He's been not on them for a while. We need to get this damn studio ready to go.
Yeah.
And then we can all be on it and it'll be great.
When are we going to record those things? It's so busy at this. We have to do them in the evenings or something.
Yeah, it's tougher to get to these when it's game time, that's for sure. But anyway, that's a little bit about Shade. Until next time, you guys, take care. Shoot us any messages you might have, questions, feedback, content on our Instagram account at The Ultimate Deck Shop. Probably the easiest way to do it. Until next time, keep fit, have fun.